I like dinosaurs a lot. Like, a lot. And that could probably be contributed to multiple factors. My scientific fascination with animals, my unofficial profession as a creature designer, growing up watching Walking with Dinosaurs with my mother. But let's be honest, the biggest reason why I like dinosaurs is that I grew up watching Jurassic Park. The first two movies were my mother's favorite at the time, and I've had them playing in the background since I was a literal infant. It is ingrained into my early childhood, and it really shouldn't be a surprise that dinosaurs are a notable part of my life even to this day. Modern dinosaur media is dominated by the Jurassic Park franchise, which both pushes it forward and holds it back. A lot of people hold a lot of different opinions on the franchise. It's not hard to see why either. The general plot is very straightforward and easy to believe. After finding a way to bring back the dinosaurs, they are housed in a theme park-like zoo. After the unopened park is sabotaged, the dinosaurs escape and wreak havoc. Simple, with a lot to work with. There is little wonder that the first movie started an entire dinosaur craze. And while I could go into detail about the movies themselves, which vary from amazing classic to absolutely awful to just plain infuriating, that is not why we are here. The movies spawned a lot of merchandise and spin-off products. You name it, toys, shirts, cereal.
You patented it and packaged it and slapped it on a plastic lunchbox, and now you're selling it.
And of course, there were the video games. A lot could be said about the massive influx of games based off of the first two movies, but other better reviewers have already talked about those. I'm here to talk specifically about the arcade games. Not constrained by the limited technology of home-release consoles, the Jurassic Park and Lost World Arcade games were, for a while, the best graphics you can get of dinosaurs in an interactive medium. These were impressive and scary at the time, and always just pulled me in whenever I went to a Chuck E. Cheese or Gaddy Town. So we are going to talk about these today, as well as the other two arcade games. They're also here. Real quick, I'm going to do a disclaimer. I like reviews that make it feel like you've played the game along with me. I'm going to cover things mostly linearly, with probably more detail than most would want. I'll also be freely giving away spoilers, but in a linear fashion, so if you have the means to play these games and don't want the ending or something similar spoiled for you, you can just write down your timestamp, go enjoy the game, and come back to compare notes. That really isn't too much of a problem with these games since they're exclusive to arcades, but I want to get into the habit of saying this warning now, as it will definitely apply to my future reviews. Anyways, on with the show. All these games have the same basic structure. You are returning to Isla Nublar or Isla Sorna shortly after the events of the movies. Your mission is to save either the dinosaurs or human characters from the movies, and that directly translates to shoot everything that moves. The games are extremely fast-paced, and it's not uncommon for the player to just be flat-out overrun by dinos. After all, these are arcade games, and they want your quarters. Still, they're a lot of fun and are a must-play for rail shooter fans.
A few months later, we return to the island. Again.
Welcome to Jurassic Park. Starting from the beginning, Jurassic Park Arcade from 1994, not to be confused with the Jurassic Park Arcade game from 2015, which we'll get into later in this video, is an on-rails shooter where you travel through Isla Nublar shooting up the local wildlife to save them. The game uses brilliantly overlaid sprite work, which emulates a 3D-like environment. It works really well, but it's definitely a sign of its age. Also, unlike the other games in this video, it uses joysticks to aim. While the machines I was able to play as a kid were normal stand-up joystick cabinets, the originals were housed in sitting booths equipped with hydraulics which could move and shake to match the movements of the game. I can see where the maintenance of these wouldn't be worth the price after a while, especially with Lost World also using sitting booths, but we'll get to that later. You play as Dr. Grant and Dr. Sadler a few months after the events of the first film. There is a volcano on Isla Nublar and it's erupting. The team is trying to capture as many local dinosaurs as they can to transport them to a safe location. Hypothetically. In reality, cargo burr and we shoot everything remotely near us. Dinosaurs, rocks, signposts, doesn't matter, just shoot it. It's a ton of fun. Now, I'm sure there's some people who have noticed the elephant in the room, and yeah, the second Jurassic World movie ripped off the plot of this game. One could argue they have the right to, as it is technically the same franchise, but the over couple decades difference between them pretty much guarantees that they were made by entirely different teams of people. They quite simply copied the homework of someone else, even if that someone is their parent media. Oh well, honestly, there is an unspoken rule that there must be a volcano at some point in any given dinosaur fiction, so whatever. Back to the arcade game. Let's take a look at the demo video. In addition to the typical gameplay footage, we get a neat little animation of DNA being extracted from mosquito amber like in the film. Except for whatever reason, the DNA is just colored orbs. And we get these swooshy sci-fi sounds. I love it. The trick cereal then swirls together into a ball that then explodes into a raptor jump scare. Anyway, let's max out our quarters and press start. We start at the gates of Jurassic Park on a dark and stormy day. Lightning greets us as we enter. Rain pours down as we start Area 1. Suddenly, Tyrannosaurus! Rexy is back and she missed us. The initial Rex chase is an excellent way to start the game. The sequence is intense, but without being overwhelming like future sections. Just worry about the T-Rex right in front of you. If you have one life worth of quarters, you got to enjoy the big lady herself, which was probably why you wanted to play to begin with. It's also a nice taster for the long haul players. After all, if Rexy's in the first scene, then how intense is the rest of the game? The scene itself is extremely well done, with a legitimately intimidating view of the Rex as she chases and bites our Jeep. Since she doesn't die in a couple hits like other enemies, she flashes yellow to indicate damage, which is necessary feedback to the player. There are only seconds for the player to react, so communications have to transfer within milliseconds. On the same note, the rain of bullets Rexy needs encourages the player to notice that the gun is a machine gun rather than a pistol. That might seem minor until you remember a vast majority of arcade shooters emulate pistols by default. Giving Rexy a nice bullet shower doesn't kill her or even slow her down. Fortunately, we are able to duck into a mountain tunnel. Unfortunately, this tunnel is home to a raptor nest, and we are promptly swarmed. There is a brief second where the raptor is on screen before attacking, giving the player a short but fair amount of time to avoid damage. There is also a first aid pickup to shoot, which will restore a small bit of health. Shooting both raptors and rocks out of the way, we make it past the tunnel into a vast field. A herd of gallimimus promptly flock this way, so rather than go around, we shoot our way through. As you do. We then drive right into a herd of triceratops. Understandably, they don't take too kindly to a Jeep being rammed up their asses and angrily charge at us. They follow us all the way to a river, pushing us into a destroyed predator enclosure. There is a bunch of health here, and it's probably well needed by this point. But, I mean, it's obviously a trap. A shit ton of Dilophosaurs come out. If you're lucky, you might catch a few as they run away, but otherwise expect to be covered in acidic goo. This is also the part where the game starts to really lay on the chaos. They know you're in it to win at this point, and they showed no mercy. I remember dying so many times around this part, and should I get past it, the amount of enemies on any given screen is overwhelming. This is overstimuli the game. We escape from the paddock, but that is far from the end of it as we race up an elevated road. Due to the limited graphics, these roads are literally suspended in the air with no real base or support. Cue the pterosaurs! These little screamies fly up into the air en masse, and you have a few seconds to kill as many as possible before they slam into you. It's an early variant of swarm enemies, which would eventually become a staple of the rail shooter genre. A Triceratops blocks your path, pushing you into undergrowth below. The Dilophosaurs aren't done with you yet, and now sleeping Ankylosaurs and abandoned jeeps block your path. How do we solve such massive and armored obstacles? Shoot them, of course! How else would you remove abandoned vehicles and sleeping animals than by shooting them with tranquilizer rounds? We pass through the trees onwards to Area 2. Brachiosaur heads block the path and they take a few too many bullets to move. You'll definitely be hit here. Pushing forward, we shoot more and more sauropod heads until we dip on back to the ground level between their feet. And considering a lack of self-preservation so far, are you really surprised that we then ride up the spine of a brachiosaur up into the air Flintstone style? And is that a fucking ichthyosaur? Ichthyosaurs were aquatic reptiles that greatly resembled modern dolphins. This isn't the first time they've been in a Jurassic Park game, as they were also in the Nest game a year earlier, but given how they don't attack the player, I can't help but wonder why they're here. They'll also appear in future games as well, but not any of the others on this list. Clear out the brachys, pterosaurs, and dolphin-flavored reptiles as the road does its best roller coaster impression. Seriously, we don't give a shit about physics or realism at this point, just pure fun and madness. Finally, we head through another tunnel and into a mountain range, and after rapid-firing rocks that will drain your health in literal seconds, we are sneezed on by a brachiosaur. You know, everyone's favorite part of the movies?
God bless you!
Ew. The snot is so powerful we are pushed backwards right into another T-Rex segment. Second verse, same as the first, and we managed to trick Rexy into jumping into a river. I'm sure that'll totally be the last time we see her. Totally. On to Area 3. Area 3 is unfortunately where a lot of things start to repeat, albeit remixed. We fall into a raptor enclosure and into another nesting cave, though this time the cave leads into a lava cavern, and I'm no expert, but I call bullshit on the rope and log bridges not catching fire. Not to mention how hot it is this close to lava. I've literally only seen one game acknowledge that being close to lava is so hot that it's just as deadly as being in the lava itself. I get that lava levels are a tradition at this point, but let's just say that the raptor den would be filled with fried chicken this close to a magma pit. And we just drive right over highly flammable bridges that are falling apart. Popping out the other end, the volcano is erupting. So much for getting the dinosaurs out in time. Shoot past panicking triceratops and volcanic debris, and eventually we are pushed down into a small fissure. Here we fight our toughest boss yet. A rock. It slows down just short of hitting us several times before breaking off into smaller rocks and falling apart. After we take revenge for Indiana Jones, we are caught on a rope bridge with some raptors. I guess the weight was too much as we all fall to our doom. Pterosaurs fly down with us for whatever reason, and we land in a raging river. Rapids push us along through a cave system, and all we can do is clear our path of obstacles. We push through a waterfall into Area 4. We skip across the lake right up to the front door of the visitor center. I guess that pond in front of the building has flooded over in the few months we've been gone. Guess the pipes busted or something. Either way, we ram our Jeep right into the lobby where we are flooded with raptors. They want our quarters, damn it! Driving deeper, we see the cages of the dinosaurs we've been hypothetically tranquilizing for transport. Guess there is just an amazing secondary team following our path of destruction and picking up all the dinosaurs we totally didn't kill. Either way, if you shoot the boxes here, the dinosaurs will bust out, adding to your already chaotic screen. Already freed dinosaurs will attack no matter what, so you can't just go the whole section without shooting. It's just that accuracy is rewarded here. You can also shoot jeeps and such to create small explosions, and don't forget to grab the health. You're going to need it as we come up on the final section of the game. Rexy is back, and this time she brought a friend. Considering this was before the Lost World, this was the first time most have even seen two Rexes in the same place at the same time. This is also before the male Rexes were introduced, so this is Rexy's sister and/or girlfriend. Either way, we gotta battle two Rexes at once. Thankfully, they share a health bar. Knock down the yellow health, and one of the Rexes will fall, with the other one keeping up the chase. But oh no! We are backed into a corner. Rexy sets us up for a few unavoidable hits before she finally goes down. We transport the animals out of here, pose with a drugged out dinosaur, and they all lived happily ever after. The 1994 Jurassic Park Arcade game was a chaotic but fun roller coaster. The sheer amount of things happening on screen at any given time is overwhelming, and it is brutal in its quest to take your money. It is not a fair game, but it is ultimately an enjoyable experience worth having. Though maybe you should try to find a free play machine or some other way to not have to worry about money. Cough, cough. The graphics were fair enough for the time. This was by far the best way to see dinosaurs in a video game format, with home consoles being far more limited in either graphics or animation. In spite of relying heavily on sprites, it has held up very well over the years. The music is very fast-paced and adds to the roller coaster feel, with rising and falling notes and music stings for when dinosaurs suddenly appear. The theme that plays for the Rex battles is a notable slowdown and immediately builds up the dread of what is about to happen. The sounds used for the dinosaurs can be a little annoying, but that is mainly the fault of the large number of enemies on screen at any given time. All in all, I find this game to be great for a quick burst of nostalgic fun. Even if it is an interactive movie that plays even if you don't shoot. Welcome to The Lost World. The Lost World Arcade game that came out in 1997 and followed the movie of the same name was an ideal sequel in every way. Hosted on the Sega Model 3, it had updated graphics and sound, improved controls, better gameplay, and all while keeping respect for the original that came before it. This game dominated arcades for the longest time and is one of the best rail shooters to this day. Although far more fair and slower paced than the original, it was by no means a walk in the park. Easy to play, hard to master. These machines would incorporate a booth made to look like a Jeep, like the first game, and would trade in the joystick automatics for pistol-like guns. If you have the money, I would recommend playing with a friend or dual wielding. Don't worry if you play solo though. The enemies would adjust the focus of their attacks to more on the active side, so there would be less unfair side of screen misses. The story is that we're an evac team sent to collect Dr. Ian Malcolm and Dr. Sarah Harding. However, we just missed them and all hell is breaking loose. We have to trek across Isla Sorna as dinosaurs attack everything that moves and save them before it's too late. Before we begin proper, let's take a look at the demos. Of course, we have the general gameplay demos. I was going to write something about how the player in this footage can't shoot, but then I realized that it's slightly different each time. I don't know if it was because I emulated it or what, but it was a funny thing to notice. The second demo is the one I remember the most from my days at the arcades. This might not seem like much now, but in the dark of the booth with the speakers turned up high and this being impressive graphics at the time, this was legit terrifying. I have memories of hastily trying to start the game after entering the booth in fear that the terrifyingly loud lightning and dinosaurs would start playing. And I was a brave kid too. I knew kids who refused to even go near the booth and feared the demo would start playing while they were in a 12-foot radius. The last demo is of notable interest to me. In all my years at arcades drooling over this machine, I've never seen this demo footage. It depicts various dinosaurs chilling in the jungle. We see some Stegosaurus not giving a shit, Doe is wandering in the background, we see some humans running from compies, Dilos throwing a fit, and a raptor grabbing a bite to eat. It's oddly peaceful? Well, peaceful is a strong word, but it's slower paced than most arcade demos. Now into the game itself. First we pick our difficulty. Always pick easy. Picking hard will skip you to Area 3 and you'll miss about half the game. Shuffle will also start you at Area 3, but instead of ending after that, it'll restart you back to Area 1 to play the rest in order. It may be designed to pick a random area, but every time I've tried it, both emulated and back in the original arcades, it always picked Area 3 and looped back to 1. Stage 1. The Law of the Jungle. We briefly get a shot of us in our Jeep as we roll up to a storage depot. We are greeted by a man.
They wiped us out. We've got to save Ian and Sarah.
Well, that's a quick way to sum up the plot. We are immediately welcomed by raptors. Raptors will be our main enemy of this game, and they come in 3 flavors. The classic tiger stripe, brown, and green, the last of which will occasionally call for backup. The brown and striped will only take 1 hit, with brown often being shown more agile. The greens take 3 hits, but aren't a regular enemy until late game. In this opening section, everything starts off reasonably slowly and builds up throughout the game. It's much more fair than the madness of the first game, and gives the player a nice warm-up period. If you are quick, you can also pick up a power bar in the corner. Collect 3 of these to get an extra life. Yeah, we've traded in our life bar for a set number of hits we can take. I greatly prefer this, as now I have an exact number to keep track of rather than having to guess and hope for the best. This depot is fucked, by the way. Several humans need help, and if you save certain ones, you get additional power-ups. If you save this guy, for example, he'll give you a full extra life.
Good job. Hey, over here. They went down this slope. What the?
That scream is familiar. Spitty boys make a return, and while they still lack manners, they have a much more reasonable window to shoot them in to avoid damage. You can also shoot these barrels for an explosion. The range on them is a little too small than would be ideal, but they also briefly distract the dinosaurs on screen. We then get our first shoot the circle segment. You have to accurately shoot inside these circles a certain number of times before the time is up. This will also be used during boss battles. Here, there are some raptors killing a triceratops. Shoot the circles to knock the raptors off and continue on without hindrance. Fail and the jeep is flipped and we get an extra section of gameplay. Raptors will swarm in. Since this is a punishment, the difficulty is ramped up. They still want your quarters after all. The windows to react are incredibly short for some of these. At some point, you can save a man getting his face snacked on by a raptor. You are far more likely to kill him than save him though. But if you succeed, it gives you the laser sight upgrade, which I don't think does anything? I think you can maybe shoot farther. The light guns I used as a kid were pure plastic and didn't have any visible pointers. I even got this upgrade once as a kid and was genuinely confused when nothing happened. Oh well, you don't have to reload when using a weapon power-up, so there's that at least. At some point, a green raptor will start calling. Shoot him in time and the rest of the raptors will leave and the punishment section will end. Fail to shoot him in time and you'll get rapid fired with the last 3 raptors and a camera that wants you to die. No mercy for the weak. Returning to the main path, we drive up to a dead stegosaurus being scavenged by compies. They're atypical for the time swarm enemy. Their difficulty will mainly come in the form of trying to save one of their human victims without accidentally shooting them instead. We get a brief flock of raptors before our friends show up and the raptors flee.
Are you okay?
Well, so much for our friends. In homage to the first game, we get an early game T-Rex chase. This time our lovely lady here is Doe, the female Rex from the Lost World movie. And before you ask, yes, the whole family is in this game. It's just Doe for now though, as we have to fend her off by shooting the circles. This chase through the fog is quite thick, and after a brief standoff, Doe falls down long enough for us to escape. On to stage 2. The King of the Lakeside. Wandering in a swamp filled with herbivores, we get a few cameos. You can shoot the smaller herbivores, but nothing will happen. We have a Gallimimus, Parasaurolophus, and... is that a Montosaurus? Yeah, in fact there are a number of surprising creatures that show up in this game that often don't in Jurassic Park media. This is the first time we've seen a live Montosaurus in the Jurassic Park franchise. The sauropods coming up are Mamenchisaurus. There will be a few more faces coming up, but we'll address them as they appear. Making our way through the floodplains, we promptly crash into a sauropod. We have to shoot the circles to stop them from stepping on us or hitting us with their tails. Then we have to shoot their butt circle to stop them from shitting on our car. We succeed and we go on to the next section. Fail, and we get shit all over our windshield and drive into a mud pit. At least I hope that's mud. While stuck, we are swarmed by raptors, but it's nowhere near as difficult or as long as before. Next is what I call Raptor Road, a long stretch past some windmills while raptors run you down. Save the man on the motorcycle to get a shotgun. The speed of the raptors will increase as you progress. At the end, a flock of Pachycephalosauruses will charge at you. They're much slower than the raptors just before, so take it as a mental reset before we approach the boss of this stage. Dinosuchus. The Dinosuchus battle is oddly slow for a rail shooter. Story goes that they were originally planning to have a battle with the plesiosaur here, but had to change it. You're on a floating bridge as the big boy swims around you. You can shoot at him, but most hits will miss due to the water. Wait for him to charge towards you, then hit his back as he rises out of the water. Shoot the circles to counterattack and do the most damage. After you seemingly kill him, he'll pop back out of the water for a final swan song. Despite his health bar being replenished, he only has a few hits left in him, and a well-aimed shot in each eye will finish him for good. Stage 3. Enter the dragons. We've reached the Site B laboratory. or Labo, as the previous maps have called it. Ian and Sarah are somewhere in this massive complex. Without the Jeep, we are significantly slower in movement, and the actual pace of the gameplay is quicker than ever. We are immediately flooded with a massive pack of raptors, including multiple greens. Save the dude who falls through the door, and he rewards you with the lightning gun. Up the stairs and round a corner to another man needing help, this time from a flock of compies. My advice is to sweep their heads just above the guy. You miss and you lose a life point, so be very careful. Succeed, and he'll give you an extra life point. So it's better to take a hit from a compy and save the dude to equal out, rather than shoot the dude for better compy aim. We get another shoot the circle segment, and this time they had fun with it. They'll give you the code to this number pad, and then you have to repeat the combination with your gun. This might seem easy, but when you're a kid in a crowded arcade with everyone talking, and the light gun is much harder to aim, this section can be a nightmare. If you succeed, the door is locked and you have less raptors to worry about. Fail, and you have to hurry down a corridor as the raptors catch up to you. Either way, you eventually make it outside to the roof and onto stage 4. They're home. Yeah, the stages are significantly shorter now. I guess it's so it wouldn't be as obvious that picking hard difficulty gyps you out of half the game. Up on the roof, shoot the circles to set up a zipline rope. Failing gives you a few more raptors. While on the zip line, you'll be attacked by pterosaurs. Like the first game, they'll fly around first before attacking. Thankfully, they aren't a swarm enemy this time. You can easily shoot them off without taking any damage. We make it into the second building and finally catch up to Ian and Sarah. Sarah! At least, it's supposed to be Ian and Sarah. Neither look like their movie or book versions, but whatever. We finally found them.
Sarah!
Get away! He's coming!
Who's coming? Oh no. That's right, we fight a Carnotaurus, specifically the book version of Carnotaurus. In the books, the Carnotaurus appear to have been mixed with chameleon DNA and can camouflage themselves almost perfectly. What does that mean here? It means this bug-eyed boy is going to chase you around the control room while the camera occasionally stares at nothing. You can't shoot it while it's invisible, but if you lay into it and hit the circles, the battle isn't too hard. You fucking bitch! Knock the Carno out to go on to the next and final stage. Stage 5. Something has survived. We are coming up to the trailers from the movie. Yeah, those ones. Save a dude from compies on the way for a bonus life bar. So, in case you missed it, Sarah was running around with Junior earlier. You know, when we were fighting the Carnotaur. Well, now we're in the trailers. With Junior. Yeah.
There's something here.
Thirsty. I need Wawa.
Buck and Doe are both here, and they ain't happy. They tear apart the trailer before claiming their boy. We flee away in the Jeep. Or rather, we fly away in the Jeep, and Doe takes chase. Like her last fight, we whittle down her health with a barrage of bullets and shoot the circles when necessary. She goes down pretty fast, but that's not all.
Oh dear. She's called her mate.
Buck is our final boss. At first, he's a lot like Doe, following the Jeep as we shoot. We quickly turn off into a side road.
Here, bringing you fun.
Buck breaks through the fucking wall and says hello. Shoot the circles as he grins at us. At a little over halfway health, we'll back up, revealing some old car shells that Buck will promptly throw at us. Shoot his mouse circle once before he throws, or 4 circles on the cars to avoid taking damage. He'll start taking bites out of us again until he's about 4th health. Trapped. And he knows it. Buck will knock some tanks off the roof at us before taking a little snack break. Damn it. In decidedly undinosaur-like fashion, he starts tearing off chunks of the building just so he'll have more debris to throw at us. It's not enough though. After a few more attempts to bite us, he'll seemingly back off.
It's too quiet.
Shoot down his last sliver of health. Or not. It works either way. And he'll fall. I think.
Ian and Sarah.
Ian! Sarah!
How many Sarahs do you think are on this island?
And they all lived happily ever after. And look, in a final nod to the first game, the credits use monochrome renders of the dinosaurs, just like the credits of the first game. That's sweet of them. And look at the happy family. Though, I think Junior might be a little special. And that was the Lost World Arcade. This game was amazing both at the time and even now. It revolutionized the light gun genre and was a staple in arcades long after its release. There was apparently even a special edition version with better tech, more effects, a rearranged plot order, and most notably they removed the Carnotaurus battle in favor of a scene depicting Buck rampaging in San Diego, like in the movie. Unfortunately, this version of the game is lost media. There are some pictures of the booths, but somehow no one thought to record or even take pictures of the gameplay. Part of me even wonders if this version even exists. If you or someone you know has footage of the gameplay, even if it's just a dude with a camcorder quality, then please upload it to YouTube and or send it my way. Seriously, there is nothing but outer booth pictures to archive that these machines even existed. Going back to the game we do have, it is a ton of fun. It's difficult enough without being unfair at any point. Most difficulty spikes are forms of punishment, so if you play well, you will be treated well. The music is not as memorable as the first game, and honestly, it can be a bit repetitive. But the use of music stings is nice, and overall, it does its job. The success music is a burst of dopamine, and the music knows when to use silence for tension. The final fight with Buck is very triumphant, urging you to keep at it so close to winning. This game is a great time that I highly recommend. There are many reasons why this game was in arcades for so long, with most places keeping their machines up until 2015. There was one reason for this though that wasn't so positive. Onwards to the unfortunate case of the Jurassic Park 3 arcade game. Alright, before we continue, I need to apologize. While I was able to emulate the previous two games, as of me recording this, that option is not available for Jurassic Park 3 or the 2015 game. The quality of the footage is about to drop to dude with a camcorder levels, because it was recorded by a dude with a camcorder. It's not even my own footage, as the game was never available in my area. This only applies to Jurassic Park 3 and not the 2015 game. I'll address that when we get to it though. Sorry, but I really wanted to show y'all all 4 games, and it'll probably be a while before emulation catches up. I would really appreciate it if you guys checked out the channels in the description below and give them some support. That isn't to say I didn't try, by the way. In Jurassic Park 3, I managed to get this far into the attract mode demo, but only with the sound off. With the sound on, I only managed to get to this point, which is before the Spino even appears on screen. As for playing the actual game, I managed to get to the first enemy, some compies. Well, you can't shoot at them, so after a long and awkward wait, they cease to be, and you're just stuck there for all eternity. So, yeah. Sorry, but I'll be switching to the camcorder footage now. Shout out to Thomas Delgren for the Jurassic Park 3 footage. It's a rare game and your archival of it has been great for a lot of dino fans. I'll also admit that while I've completed all the other games in this video, I've never even seen a Jurassic Park 3 arcade machine in the wild. The game seemingly had a very limited run, as a vast majority of arcades simply kept their Lost World cabinets. I vaguely recall rumors as a kid that there was a game for the third movie, but I quickly assumed that they were incorrect and were only making assumptions based on the other two movies having arcade games. It wasn't until adulthood that I stumbled upon a video recommendation and realized it was real. And honestly, looking at it now, I fully understand why so many arcades just kept their Lost World cabinets instead. I won't comment on gameplay or in-person experience, but I reserve the right to critique what I do have, and whew, this game, it's not good. Despite releasing in 2001, the graphics look significantly worse than the Lost World Arcade game. There's an over-reliance on 2D assets and the textures are muddy and dull. There is far less set pieces than before, and the game is oddly beige. It had left and right dodge buttons and was on the Konami Viper with the same cabinets as Police 911. Unlike the other Jurassic Park Arcade games, there was never a sit-down booth version. There was a deluxe version, but it had you physically jump to and from footmats to dodge enemies rather than use the buttons. We still use pistols and have gone back to a health bar, but saving human characters doesn't give you any power-ups this time. This is also the only arcade game that story-wise you're using proper bullets rather than tranquilizers. That's right, this, and even all of these were all non-lethal. The 2015 game also supposedly uses tranks, so keep that in mind for extra silliness later. Honestly though, the idea that we aren't actually killing any animals, except maybe these ones, made these games a little more enjoyable for me. We didn't kill Rexy, Buck, or Doe. We didn't just wipe out 42 different raptor packs. They're all just taking a nap. As we go through this specific game, just remember that we are killing these dinosaurs for real this time. Remember that, you monster. Taking a quick look around at the attract mode, there's surprisingly many more than the usual number of demos. We have one that sweeps through the island with brief appearances of various dinos, ending on the Spinosaurus. Good, but we also have these dinosaur profile videos, showing off their models, run cycles, and even some gameplay. I'll give credit when it's due, and I'll admit these are a nice touch. I also have to say though that it's funny that the T-Rex profile has the dude like, totally harmless as long as you don't panic. But then the demo gameplay immediately after has him just wrecking the player. The voiceover dude in these demos doesn't really say anything useful at any point. He's just like, some dinosaurs be chill, and some not so chill. Thanks dude, very helpful. Plot-wise, we are rangers working for InGen to go to Site B and rescue any humans we find there. That's odd. Site B has been closed for several years now. I know the movie has the Kirbys crashing their plane there, but there are still an alarmingly large number of humans here. We're vaguely informed they are accident victims, but who are these people? Which accident? There are so many accidents in the history of Isla Sorna. I suppose they crashed here at some point off screen, but still. Is this the Kirby plane? No, because for whatever reason, Dr. Grant is our radio commander? What?
Who are you people?
Whatever, let's ignore the story. It's not like they were ever canon or consistent. Starting the game proper, we parachute down to the island like the commandos we are. Quick plot summary from Grant, and we immediately spot a survivor being chased by compies. We follow him into the jungle and... where the hell are we? Yeah, the cutscenes don't cleanly cut to the actual gameplay like Lost World. It's a little weird for a rail shooter to break the rail like that, but it's fine, I guess. We start off with some simple compies and... ew. No, why? There is a full screen white flash whenever you shoot. Look, it's baked into my emulation too. They thought it was a good idea to blind the player with a flash of white every time they fire the gun. I'm not one to give epilepsy warnings, but holy shit. This gave me a headache multiple times just reviewing the footage. I could only imagine it in person. I would warn people away based on this alone. Just no. Moving on, we get appearances from the boys. Both Dilo and Raptor make a comeback. This time, the Raptors are Jurassic Park 3 flavored with gray boys and spotty girls. They are much slower than last time, and they have a tendency to just hobble around on screen before even attempting to attack you. We catch up to our survivor friend and save him from the compies. But, oh no! Something stirs in the nearby waters. A Spinosaurus is here and is a bit cranky after being woken up from his nap. In response, our big bad commandos run away. Well, to be fair, we are still shooting at the thing, it's just that running away is our main priority. We lead it back to the landing strip we started at and we get our first boss battle. Before each boss battle, we get a quick dossier on the animal telling us where to shoot. Ideally, this would replace the shoot the circle system, but nope. There's still circles, including ones on the weak points. I don't get it. What's the point then?
Because it's cool.
Alright, Spinosaurus fight. First we got to... yeah. We gotta dodge, and then... Oh no. No, please. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. To indicate when to press the escape buttons on the cabinet, Knock Grant yells the same 2 to 3 lines over and over and over again. I'm sure this is less annoying when actually playing, but maybe they should have recorded a few more lines. This dodge mechanic is used for the entirety of the game, and it uses the same voice lines every time. The boss battle itself is pretty simple. Shoot the Spino as we all spin around in a circle. Try to aim for the mouth and eyes, press the buttons when... Yeah. There isn't really any stages or set pieces. You just play Ring Around the Rosie with the Spino until he falls down. The Spino isn't on the ground for long, but the commotion has attracted a T-Rex, presumably Bull, the male who gets his ass kicked in the Jurassic Park 3 movie. With both predators distracted, we make our escape. Area 2 starts with a location card. We make our way along a... grassy, when we get news that... Well, how the fuck did they get there? We have to drive all the way there. Did they walk? We never even see a crashed plane or ship. Did a piece of a plane land there? I get that there were predators in the previous location, but that doesn't mean they should sprint halfway across the island to a new and equally dangerous location. Whatever. We are traveling along a grassy when... Oh no, they use them in the cutscenes too? Oh fuck. Our next boss battle is a fight with an angry Ankylosaur, and yeah, I would be pretty pissed too. Weak point is the eye, though you'll need to shoot the circle on the tail to avoid damage. No, I'm not okay, I'm dead! After less than a minute, we've successfully murdered a herbivore we have wronged first. To the Embryonics Administration! We are attacked by the dumpy raptors and save a few survivors.
Thank you!
While there are a few cages and similar relics of this facility's past, there isn't any gimmicks like locking doors or zip lines. We make our way outside. Bull is here, and we need to aim for the eyes and mouth again. So now we are directly facing off against another Rex. I think now is a good time to compare something that's been bothering me since the first enemy of this game, the animations. Let's look at a Rex from the Lost World. Now let's look at the Rex from Jurassic Park 3. The Rex is floaty and it looks like he's walking on ice. The animations and actual movements don't match up. He isn't the only one with janky animations either. Spino is just as floaty, the raptors look like they shit their pants and jump like this. Hi-ya! And the Dilos just grow an inflatable second frill. Again, the thing that makes this so bad is that the Lost World did it so much better years before. Back to the Rex fight, it is functionally identical to the Spino battle. We circle around a parking lot, taking shots at his mouth and eyes, and occasionally... Yeah, this fight also lasts less than a minute. But we're not done. Well, what the fuck are they doing there? Off to the Pterosaur Aviary. Area 3 is where the meat of the game is. The first 2 areas are about 4 and 6 minutes respectively. The last area is a whole 10 minutes. Anyway, into the big cage. Similar to the pterosaurs of the previous game, the pterosaurs here will fly around before diving at you. You have plenty of time to shoot them without taking damage, and these are definitely not swarm enemies. We rescue the humans in the area and get down to the river docks on the ground level. We get on a boat and... oh no, not the toothless fish eater I can break the bones of with one hand! What will we do? And it's dead. Anyway, we've saved everyone and are now heading down to the marina for assumed evac. All the normal dinos show up for the party, including some that don't even attack us? It's a Spino! Similar to the Dinosuchus fight of Lost World, the Spino will duck underwater where it can't be hit. Occasionally, it'll pop its head out of the water and we can shoot the circles to damage it. Knock it back a few times and it falls into the water. We head onto land and into the jungle. One last raptor gauntlet and we reach the marina. Well, I don't know, is it? It's only standing up right in front of us while breathing heavily. The last Spino battle is exactly the same as the first, only now the arena's on fire. Did the Spino light the fire? Fuck if I know. We kill it one last time, this time cooking it for about 15 minutes at 450 degrees. You're gonna want to spice it up with some lemon and garnish with parsley. We escape onto an ocean vessel, or at least we try to, and fade to white. Credits roll. It's just us on the ship and the dinos running down the grid room from the demos. Woo! That looked awful! Don't get me wrong, I would still play the hell out of this game if it was available to me, but wow, is this a downgrade from the Lost World. Graphics, mechanics, and dinosaur variety are all significantly worse. The demos were cool and the music was nice. I missed the music stings of the previous games though. Even standing alone and judging it on its own merit, it's not that good. The pacing is slow for an arcade rail shooter. The animations are mid to low quality. There were typos and strange translations, and Radio Grant won't shut the hell up. Like, holy shit, just let the game happen. You already have text on screen and easy to read timing. You don't need a voice telling you when to dodge, look out, hurry up, or calm down every 5 seconds. It's legit near constant. And speaking of constant, that flashing white every time you shoot is a deal breaker. I flat out recommend y'all avoid this game on that alone. I know I don't have much to say because it's the only game in this video I wasn't able to play in person, but from everything else I can say this game was bad. And I have a good idea as to why. The previous games were done by Sega. Jurassic Park 3 on the other hand was made by Konami, and Konami just didn't care. This wasn't one of their IPs. The animations and overuse of 2D assets are clear signs of laziness to me. Konami didn't care, and it shows in the final product. I guess that's very fitting of a game adaptation of Jurassic Park 3 though. The movie was a lazy cash grab made by people who didn't care. Why wouldn't the game be? Well, I guess both have an upside in common though. They were both short. Let's take a look at a much better sequel to the original games. In 2015, Raw Thrills would release their own take on the Jurassic Park franchise. Simply titled Jurassic Park, this game loosely references the first 3 movies. Taking place on Isla Nublar, it features all the classic boys and some new ones. I would say this game is far closer to the Let's Go series or Dead Storm Pirates, opting for an extremely fast-paced and chaotic experience. I remember thinking this game was for the Jurassic World movie, as it came out the same year, only a couple months apart. I even still refer to it as Jurassic World Arcade, and people know exactly what I'm talking about. I find it genuinely odd that they didn't jump on the chance to rebrand to the new movie. It's made even funnier in retrospect, as this game also ripped off the volcano plot from the first game, though given the nature of everything, they probably meant the game to serve more as a remake of the original. Before we go any further though, big shout out to Do Reagan for the raw thrills footage. I had given up and was going to use camcorder footage for the 2015 game as well, but while I was writing the last section of the script, they uploaded a full playthrough direct capture of the game, including the Rex and Triceratops fail sequences. Thank you so much! The timing of everything is insane, and I'm extremely grateful. Links in the description and in the corner. If you want to watch the game and then come back to compare notes, I highly recommend their playthrough. It's kind of amazing how much they managed to pack into this game. The enemy variety was insane, and I had a lot of fun in the arcade seeing the different dinosaurs with my sister. This was one of those games where they had way too many ideas during development and had to cut out planned sections to keep the game reasonable. They apparently also had trouble with the pacing, having a hard time balancing the action with the rest periods. Playing this game in person, I remember being exhausted after a longer session, which was satisfying, but I could easily see it being too much for a kid. The game came in either normal sit-down booths or deluxe motion seats. I think I've played in both. I remember the moving seats just add to the chaos of the experience. They also opted for vibrating turret-style mounted machine guns rather than pistols, which was definitely a good move in light of all the things happening on screen. I will say though that the vibration of the guns were a bit loud and annoying. You can even hear it in most online camcorder footage. We keep our health bar, but power-ups make a return. We also get grenades this time, which is great for clearing a swarm. While there are a few opportunities to save our comrades from the dinosaurs, and accidentally shooting them gives us damage, it isn't a major focus like in previous games. In fact, our friends should all be wearing red shirts because the human death toll in this game is a bit insane. Though that just adds to the fun, really. I'm sure you noticed from this footage, but this game has a style notably different than other Jurassic Park media. The updated graphics are a bit wet looking and have stronger than ideal shadows, but they make up for this with a large amount of color. Not only is the UI colorful, but the dinosaurs as well. Most animals have multiple variations and have brilliant colorations. Blues, greens, reds, pinks, you name it. Everything together gives a feel of watching a little boy's fantasy as he plays with dinosaur toys. Look, there are several lines of Jurassic Park toys that go for a similarly colorful style. I don't know if it's intentional, but the chaos of everything, things crashing into one another, the fantastical and over-the-top set pieces and weapons. If you left a kid in a room with a bunch of toys, this is what he'd come up with. I kind of love it. Realistically, I probably would have preferred something that aimed towards realism, but the extreme over-the-top nature of this game is incredibly fun and no doubt appeals to more people. As mentioned before, the plot is going to be familiar. Taking place on Isla Nublar, a security team is tasked with securing one animal of each present species before the local volcano erupts. This is done over 9 levels, with each 3 levels being associated with the capture of a large dinosaur: Tyrannosaurus, Triceratops, and Spinosaurus. There was apparently a lot more planned, including an Oz or Tolkien-sized giant spider, but these were ultimately scrapped. The team were actually given a cabinet of the original 1994 arcade game, so they meant this game to be more of a love letter / remake of that one. Taking a quick look at the Attract mode, the demo also doubles as the machine's trailer, complete with ominous text and dramatic music. Getting into the game itself, we see a nice feature of this game. You can choose to play any level you wish. This means if you beat the Triceratops route, then come back another day, you can start at the Spinosaurus or Rex routes without having to replay the Triceratops route first. Or, if you're having trouble with the level, you can start over and skip it. Very nice. And oddly money-saving for an arcade game. Well, let's take a look at the Triceratops route first. The Cliffs of Thunder. Well, that didn't take long.
Mayday! Mayday! Mayday!
Holy shit, we haven't even landed on the island yet and we're dropping like flies. Massive pterosaurs are pulling down the helicopters and tossing people out. We even get our first boss battle, a giant pteranodon. Now, I'm sure some of you are going to give me grief for liking this pteranodon boss battle, but not the Jurassic Park 3 one. And the answer to why that is simple. Jurassic Park 3 was aiming towards the seriousness of the movies. The Raw Thrills arcade game is going for sheer madness. The boss could be a compy in a jetpack and it would still work beautifully. It also does the telling of the weak points thing only to make us shoot the circles, just like Jurassic Park 3. But the
Because it's cool.
excuse is pretty much what the whole game runs on. The realm of acceptability has been greatly increased between the two games because of the major change in scope, focus, and style. Like always and forever, context is key. We scare off the angry Flappy Boy and...
Visual on the Triceratops. I'm going in.
So we just hop off the helicopter onto the back of one of the Jeeps currently chasing the Triceratops? There was a dude in this spot just seconds ago, by the way. A pterosaur just swooped down and plucked him off the seat for us. The turret is still warm from his blood. We shoot the raptors and pterosaurs off our trail, and I have to say that these are the movements and animations that a sequel to the Lost World Arcade should have. Fast movie with appropriate animations and fair attack windows. This is an upgrade. Triceratops don't care though, and she taps us off the cliff. Fuck physics, we have the leg strength that would make a kangaroo jealous. Who cares that the car being in midair means we would fall like a brick jumping off of it? Who cares about whoever was driving? Fuck the driver. We have to capture Dr. Compers before the volcano explodes. Return to our original fleet, the pterosaurs are back with a more swarm-like formation. While there are a lot of pterosaurs, I hesitate to call them a swarm enemy in this game, mainly because there are more literal swarm enemies to compare them to later on. The pterosaurs pick off our comrades one by one until our helicopter crashes into the nearby jungle. Oh, look, our pilots survived. Oh, never mind. We are actually at the original park gates, and we quickly lose our trek as she runs inside. We hop on a jeep to take chase. Away! Wow, that was only one level of this game, and the one you're most likely to play first. This game is intense. And that death toll. Y'all better have the absolute best life insurance plans because damn! But let's not stop at the starting line. We follow the Triceratops into Camp Chaos. Oh, that's gonna be an understatement, isn't it? Ooh, that's cool.
Take down that tower. Bullseye.
Why did we do that? There are a lot of different enemies here, but I'll save most for later because pacing. I want to talk about the Archaeopteryx. Yeah, you heard me right. Feathered dinosaurs that can even fly. Or, I guess here that means they can hover perfectly as well, but it's still surreal to see feathered dinosaurs in Jurassic Park media prior to Jurassic World Dominion. Nice. They act as a slower swarm enemy, bunching up with a wide shoot window and a hesitation stage. I love how when you shoot them, feathers fly all over the screen like a cartoon pillow. Back at camp, who do we find in the garage? The chase continues. Next is Tricera Takedown. Our girl is heading downriver with us on her tail. Remember how I compared this game to the Let's Go series? Well, have a swarm of giant bugs. Weird-faced wasp in this case. They are a modern swarm enemy, flooding the screen in a bunched-up formation before attacking the player a few at a time. The best strategy is to clear the groups as much as possible before the individuals start attacking. Any modern light gun player should recognize this pattern. I will say it is a push into the fantastical for there to be giant bugs in this game. While there were larger than normal insects in past eras, it's unlikely that Jurassic Park would be able to get their DNA from... Holy shit, Dr. Compers, get back here! Quickly, blow up that ranger tower! It should be noted that I wrote this script before Jurassic World Dominion came out, so I didn't know about the giant locust bullshit that movie would focus on. Between the giant insects and the volcano as mentioned before, I hold absolutely no doubt the Jurassic World writers just flat out copied off this game for the last two movies. Anyway. Now for the boss battle. We've caught up to the Triceratops. Weak spots are the horns, front of the frill, side of frill, and side of head? Don't you want to take that up a bit? No? Okay. Shoot the circles. Raptors are still chasing us as well. Get some good hits on the Triceratops and smack her horns and eyes when she charges. She reminds our friends why not to drive on the outer side of a cliff to a Triceratops while our crew sets up the trap. Bait her into the cage, then shoot the 4 targets on the sides. This is the moment of truth. If you fail, she chucks you over the cliff and you die. Then you have to do the whole battle all over again. This might seem like fair punishment, but remember you are paying around $1 or so per life. That is precious health you are losing, and it all depends on 4 targets you have the tiniest window to hit in. If you don't see this coming, you only have seconds to respond. If you succeed though, the Triceratops is successfully captured. You get your score and can even enter your name now rather than at the end. Since the scores are done per stage, it's nice of them to let you enter into the leaderboard now and potentially leave the game to come back later. Now, let's take a little break from the action to talk about the weapon power-ups. These, as well as health and grenades, are pickup items and will give you a temporary weapon change. For reference, we have the default weapon, a rapid-fire machine gun. Pretty straightforward. There's the Titan, which is much heavier with more damage. Going from memory, I think the vibration of the physical light gun gets stronger too, but I don't have confirmation on this. There's the shock bolt that sends out a beam of electricity that tasers the dinosaurs. We got the frostbite cannon that sends out a beam of ice that freezes enemies who are then shattered by impact. Finally, we got the triple threat, which basically serves as a shotgun complete with spread. And all of these weapons are non-lethal. See? Says so right here. Non-lethal. Non-lethal. Totally 100% non-lethal. We're here to save dinos, not kill them. They're just sleeping. While a volcano erupts on their island. But it doesn't count if the volcano kills them. And to be fair, one could definitely argue revenge for our many dead comrades. Back to the game, let's hunt down the T-Rex next with Close Call. A T-Rex is loose in Bravo sector, and we roll out the jeeps to go find her. Raptors are chasing us again, so I guess it wasn't just them hunting the Triceratops earlier. We quickly come upon a familiar scene. The Spinosaurus is fighting a Rex, but this time the Rex rightfully throws the Spino off the side of the cliff. While real Spinosaurus was taller than T-Rex, they were fish eaters. The wide-faced and heavily built Rex would definitely win in a fight, but part of the push of Jurassic Park 3 was to try and get people hyped for the Spino over Rex. It didn't work, and it's notable that Spino's rep in the fandom has been wonky ever since. Let's just say there was a message to the fans in the scene from the first Jurassic World movie where Rexy destroys the Spinoskeleton. Back to the game, this Rex has gotten one hell of an intimidation makeover. She looks flat out evil, and a zombie skin wouldn't look very different. Still, it works well in this setting. Weak spots is the teeth, lips, and throat. Say, "Ah, big girl." As she gives chase, we can see the volcano erupting behind her. This is fictional volcano rules, so don't panic yet. But the area is clearly scorched with dead vegetation and giant skeletons for the Rex to ram through. We pass lava rivers and patches of fire. It's like someone took the elephant graveyard from The Lion King, set it on fire, then turned it up to 11. It's an excellent introduction to the new and far more intimidating Rex. We run away and duck into a cave. A cave filled with xenomorph eggs? Wait. Oh no. Before you get excited about dinosaur xenomorphs, these eggs actually belong to the giant spider that got cut from the game. That isn't to say there aren't notably larger than normal spiders though. Yes, spider swarm enemies. I want to say that their animations might need a little work, but at this point they don't stick out any worse than the wasp. Out of the caves and through a waterfall. Quick, get to the chopper!
Amber bugs.
Well, so much for that. Good thing we packed parachutes, bitch! Now entering Leap of Faith. That is an extremely fitting title. Apparently pterosaurs climb the walls like bats, and they're none too pleased to see us. Past the cliffs and into a herd of sauropods. It's actually a really nice scene if the screamy boys would get out of the way. Ah, bees! Seriously though, it's funny how this incredible scene of herbivores just living is happening below us. We see another Triceratops, this time with a baby, some Stegosaurus and sauropods, and all of it is ruined by the fucking bees. Fuck you, bees! The angry Pteranodon boss is back. Bastard grabs our parachute and takes us along for a ride in an admittedly brilliant sequence. We finally get them to let us go right onto a beach, leading us into the next stage. T-Rex Terror. This gonna be good. Suddenly, a dark and stormy night. We are set upon by compies. Little bros are back and as cute as ever. They'll jump on your screen and cling there for a hot second, but I once again hesitate to call them swarm enemies when compared to the insects. We are crossing a bird-infested bridge when... Oi! You know how expensive it'll be to fix that? The Rex is too distracted with her hunt and runs off. Poor girl gets swarmed by compies, but forget that. Ew. We enter a nearby bunker and is that a dilo? We find ourselves in a kitchen, so of course raptors are here. 'Tis tradition. Nice touch. We got a few more raptors and dilos, so I guess now is a good time to talk about the Dilophosaurs of this game. They jump in on screen, often amongst raptors, and will rattle while displaying for a hot second before hawking a purple loogie at you. This magical orb of spit, venom, and the purple stuff from Sunny D commercials comes at you slowly and circles about in the air, giving you plenty of time to shoot it. It's funny that such a fast-paced and chaotic game would have arguably the easiest to kill version of a dilo. Even the Jurassic Park 3 boys had quick spit. It's not necessarily a bad thing the Raw Thrills dilo is slow, but it does stand out a bit. Either way, the colorful style of the game really suits them. I should probably comment on how a creature that was in one scene of one movie would be so prominent in all the arcade games. Scaly raptors are a staple of the franchise, but dilos are the underdogs that could and did. Look how terrified these compies are. Maybe it's because you're using a totally non-lethal freeze gun that freezes and then shatters your enemies. Non-lethally. Past the oddly large kitchen and... Ooh, that's some nice nostalgia. Yep, we are at the original visitor center. Look, they even kept the fossil on the ground from the movie. And there we go. Shoot the mouth circles, let's go. Oh, you cheeky piece of shit, that was your great Aunt Becky. Oh geez. We get outside to the Jeep, and the chase is on. I like how, while the raptors are still constantly attacking us, they are running away from the Rex just as much as we are. Into a warehouse and... Holy fuck! Oh shit! Apparently some other team was also tracking a Rex, and their blue one just joined in on our red one's hunt. It's actually pretty neat that the blue one is on the right while the red is on the left. It matches up with the blue and red second and first players respectively. The road forks, leaving us with the blue.
Hands off!
Okay, I love that. Red is still following us, but looks like some helicopters are close behind. Just as before, we need to lead the dinosaur into the trap and shoot 4 points in a very short time window to close it. Miss it, and we get a really good endgame scene with the Rex eating us. It actually feels like the end of an animated short or something like that. Let's try again though. Starting all the way back to when we fled the visitor center, we have to replay the entirety of Big Blue's section. This time we close the cage and catch Red. Woo! That one was just as intense, if not more than the Triceratops levels.
We got her.
Let's see if the Spino levels hold up just as well with Reactor Meltdown. We don't waste any time as we fade in on a Spino attack in progress. Failing to subdue the creature with our stormtrooper aim, we take shelter in a nearby bunker, presumably the one housing the power reactor for the island. The place ain't looking too good though, with lava under the grills and raptors mixed with dilos running the place. You can kind of tell they were running out of time by this part. They didn't properly hide the spawn points in this room. You can clearly see enemies teleporting into existence. Moving on to an amphitheater, we head down to the center for a couple of waves of enemies and...
What the?
Brachiosaurs? What? What the hell are they doing here? Why are they breaking through the windows? Wait a minute. Two Brachiosaurs break in and grab one of your friends. Shoot the neck until she lets go. Both then realize how weird this scene is and peace out. Working our way further into the facility, we find various machinery. There are some tanks with raptors floating in them who will break out if shot. Don't know why they need cloning vats when the raptors in this area can just mass spawn into existence. All the gunfire and raptors are destroying the equipment and the place starts falling apart. Sparks are raining down as we fight our way deeper into the facility. On to the next stage, into the abyss. We get to a freight elevator and ride it out into a spider-infested tunnel. We get to a closed-off tunnel and meet up with some other team members who promptly make an exit the American way. The cavern ahead is infested with raptors, and we hop on buggies as they overrun the station. I love how if you save this guy, we still just leave him behind. It might have been a good thing for him though, as this place has a new swarm enemy, these fat O-faced guys. They look like a bloated tick mixed with a sex doll, and I'm not comfortable around them. They're only in this section too, with us quickly switching back to spiders, raptors, and dilos. Oh, but what's this in the water? The Spinos got us on the run. Weak points are the front and back of the mouth. The O-faced mites are back and... ugh. The Spino chases us into a volcanic cavern. Oh, that's gotta have been painful off screen. The Spino chases us through more and more caverns, and apparently this place is the hollow fucking earth because look at this. There's light at the end of the tunnel as we come up onto the last stage, Spino Showdown. Driving right into a stampeding brachiosaur herd, we fend off raptors and panicking sauropods. Fucking bees! The Skytram is a nice touch though. Spino catches up to us, and I'm gonna take a moment to appreciate the new design. Like the Rex, Spino here got an intimidation makeover. The new green look with a less bulky body would greatly resemble the general look Spinosaurus would have up until the push for a more accurate look and eventual discovery of a tail fluke some years later. In other words, this design is by no means accurate or perfect, but it was a major upgrade from the Jurassic Park 3 version. I quite like it, and it matches well with the kids' toy fantasy come-to-life aesthetic the game has going for it. That doesn't help us now, though, as it's hot on our tails. In a nice callback, we pass a plane crashed in the river. But, oh no! A waterfall! Quickly, into the chopper again! The Spino lunges at us one last time, but we shoot them off into the waters below. We pick up the dazed Spino with a giant crane.
I have been chosen. Farewell, my friends. I go on to a better place.
And we fly away. Mission complete. We get a final cutscene of us heading home with 3 big dinos. You saved the dinosaurs. Great job. Did we? Did we though? Either way, roll the credits. Woo! Oh boy, that was a lot. This entire game is extreme from start to finish. Fast-paced, intense action, and constant enemies from beginning to end. I will say that the raptors were a little too constant. Don't get me wrong, there was a shit ton of raptors in the previous games too, but here they just don't let up, and become a little annoying by the end. They're even in the boss battles. There was no downtime to breathe either. As I said previously, I would be exhausted after a session back in the arcades. The bug enemies also feel really out of place. I get wanting a modern-style swarm enemy, but they simply don't belong in the setting and stick out like something from a different game. Again, I wrote the script before Jurassic World Dominion came out, and to be honest, the giant locusts don't make sense there either. The graphics are also a little muddy and look very typical for the time. The colorful dinosaurs help this, but it can only go so far when everything is too dark and wet. They also either ran out of time or got lazy towards the end. The animation of the spiders and ticks is not very good, with them just wiggling back and forth. I can tell this was an animation for a more worm-like enemy taken from another game. There was also very little care for spawn point placement in the Spino levels, and it was honestly very distracting to see enemies just pop in on screen. I remember noticing it in the arcades too, so it isn't just something I noticed because I wasn't the one playing. The music was generic orchestral music. It served its role fair enough, but literally none of the tracks are memorable. In fact, according to YouTube copyright, all the songs are from generic movie trailer soundtracks. All in all though, I greatly enjoyed this game. It felt like a proper modernization of the original 2 arcade games and served as a much better sequel than the Jurassic Park 3 machine. This game was both very much Jurassic Park and very much not. It visited a lot of memorable places from Isla Nublar, but it's still probably the most unique and fantastical entry into the franchise. I'm happy this was made, and when it replaced the old Lost World machines, it felt like it was time. I'm genuinely happy to end this video on such a high note. Currently, I can't find any information on any potential future light gun games. Arcades in general are on the decline, so it's possible there will never be a future Jurassic light gun game in arcades. There are arcade games for Jurassic World, but they are basic and very much for kids. It's possible we'll one day get a light gun Jurassic World game, but it is unlikely. Speaking of unlikely, the chances of there being an official home release of these games is near none. In a perfect world, a collection emulating all the games wouldn't be physically impossible, but even though Universal owns the rights to everything, the 3 different companies that made the games ensures that a collection of any kind would be a nightmare. As of me writing the script, the Raw Thrills game is still active for both play and purchase. A lot of arcades here in America have one, but I don't know about the rest of the world. The first 2 games can be emulated really well, with the features that come with that, but the third game's emulation still needs a lot of work. As I've said previously, playthroughs of all the games will be linked in the description below. I also suggest checking out my gaming channel. I'm a variety streamer and a Let's Player, so you are bound to find something you like there. I even have stream VODs of me playing not just the first 2 Jurassic Park Arcade games, but also Carnival, Ocean Hunter, and Magical Truck Adventure. I also have Trespasser and various non-Jurassic Park games, so just give it a look. This was my first proper review, so I would really appreciate any feedback so I can improve. I would also love to hear any experiences y'all had with these games in the comments below. I would really appreciate if you liked and subscribed and shared this video to anyone who might like it. I was originally planning to wait until next year to start doing reviews, but I decided I wanted to get my toes wet and get a feel for the process before going all in on it. I'm glad I did too, because this video was way bigger than I was planning. I plan to review a lot of different stuff. Games, movies, books, honestly, whatever I feel like is fair game. But I really like dinosaurs, so there will definitely be more dinosaur media related reviews in the future. Thank you all for being so awesome and giving me this chance to show off these amazing games.